I'm excited because these two books are so good. So I do this thing where I read and listen while I read, because you just take in knowledge in different ways. So obviously I've got the audiobooks that goes with these guys. Before we get into the books, because I really want to talk about that, can you guys please just introduce yourselves to the audience? Who are you guys on a fun day, work aside?
On a fun day, work aside. Work seems to be the only thing that we're doing nowadays. But no, like, my name's obviously Anthony. The co-author of those books that you mentioned, best-selling books, and Podcast Made Simple, Podcast Marketing. And really, in terms of business aside, I'm a fitness enthusiast, you could say. So I'm really into fitness, into bodybuilding particularly. Had a long break during COVID, but I'm now back at it. And then I spend time with my family and me and my girlfriend. So that's me besides the business. Yeah.
And obviously I'm Taig. And yeah, again, as Anthony said, business is is really the life. But aside from that, I'm a very avid guitarist. It's like a massive part of my life. So yeah, if I'm not doing work related stuff, then I'll be making music and playing guitar. And for a bit of context, so I mean, I'm 22, Anthony's 21, so we have been like friends in school and stuff like that for probably about 10 years now. Went to university together, college. I don't know what it's called in New Zealand. Definitely college in America. Yeah,
college.
Yeah, and so yeah, we've like lived together for 3 years, in plenty of different housing arrangements, and obviously just become now business partners. So yeah.
That's very cool. How did you guys decide to just start podcasting? What was that initial thought with that?
So the initial thought, honestly, I think about nearly 2 years now, nearly 2 years ago, we decided to start a business, and wondering what would be, and we ended up starting the publishing business. And that's the main gig really. And then it was now deciding, what avenue should we go down in terms of what audience should we help and what audience should we serve. And we came to the conclusions of podcasters because we both listen to podcasts a lot. We both love the medium, and we realized that there was something special going on around that time where a lot of people really taking things on. So we thought, why don't we hop on and see what's going on? I think Taig can attest to this. The community have been crazy supportive. Amazing. And warm and welcoming. And we made so many good connections that, when we launched the first book, it done exceptionally well. And then that made us stay. A lot of people start businesses and it doesn't always go well. But when we started our business and it went really like as well as it could go, basically, as well as it could go. And that really drew us in. I don't know if you have anything to attest to that, Taig.
Yeah. I mean, just to affirm the point that, we didn't, I guess at the time, like we didn't even have the long-term vision of like, making tons of books down the line and, growing a community to the way we have and stuff. It was really we really just didn't think too much far ahead about it at the time. Hence using the pen name Daniel Larson, which I'm not saying it's a bad decision, but it's definitely a little confusing to explain these days. Yeah, but yeah, as Anthony said, we were just taken aback by one, just how amazing the community is, and two, I guess just we're a bit surprised ourselves at how much we actually managed to help people early on, to the point where we've now just completely invested ourselves in this.
I'm quite impressed with your community on Facebook that you've guys created. I remember when I joined, it's probably a year now, Anthony, I think that we started talking, and like you were from the go, you were just so welcoming and really interacting with me. And I know I was not the only one. You were just interacting with everybody. When people do a comment, both of you respond and you comment and you really interact with your people in your Facebook group. And I mean, your Facebook group have exploded from the beginning. When I was in there, I think when I joined, it was like maybe not even a couple of hundred people, I think. And now it's like over how many, like thousands now, right?
Yeah. So yeah, no, the group's now at over 2,800, which is
something like
quite nice. It's good, and it's slowed down a bit in terms of the growth, which is fine because we're now getting a lot of high quality people coming through the door. But at the peak of it, it was crazy. We actually looked at our numbers, and it was like 100. I wasn't like 100, 200 a week or something like that, or something insane.
Something crazy like that. It was like 30 a day, 30 to 40 a day. It was it was ridiculous. But yeah, as you say, we're now focused on less focusing about outreach and more just catering to what the people that we already have.
Yeah.
Which is a great place to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And I'm just impressed with your community and what you guys have done there. And how did all of that come about? When did you decide, okay, well, we're going to start a Facebook group, or we're going to do this? How did you actually get into the whole aspect of growing this? Did you do your market research? Did you look and see what was at the time?
Really, we just took advice from people that had already done similar stuff, not even necessarily within podcasting, but just kind of firstly just in the book publishing space. And it was kind of, again, we never really thought too much about it at the time. It was just, well, we have to sell the book, market the book, get it out there, so we're going to have to do some kind of community thing, and obviously Facebook was just like the best place to start. And then again, I guess it was just a case of not really expecting it to go as seriously as it did, and then we kind of ramped up the content, ramped up the engagement, and then just things kind of took off after that.
How did your Penpal name came about? Because like I said, it is a bit confusing. Like when I first saw it, when I saw it the first time, I was like, is Anthony under a weird name in Facebook? This was my first impression, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And then I'm like, no, but he's got a business partner. So how the heck is this putting together? And then I remember actually watching a Guy Live with you guys in your Facebook group, and you explained it. But can you please explain it to the audience and how your Penpal name came about?
So, like we said, we didn't really expect to be so involved and all in. The last 2 years has been fully dedicated to podcast, helping podcasters grow their podcast, start and grow their podcast. And we weren't expecting that. So to begin with, the truth and transparency of it was, we're business owners, and we wanted to think long term of like, if we eventually want to exit the business, we can't really have Anthony and Taig. Although it's great for personal brand, it will make it difficult to exit the business, and it'll make it difficult to sell the business with us being so personally attached. So we decided to go with Daniel Larson and use a random word generator. Worked really hard, help podcasters out, launched the bestseller like instantly, and grew the community to a point where it's just took over our entire lives, and obviously helped podcasts with the coach and all that kind of stuff. And it's, now has been at the point where we're so involved with the community, and we didn't have that foresight. So that's how Daniel Larson essentially came about. And now, so I guess it's like our own little secret when people in our community who understand that and that story.
I love it. It's really cool.
It definitely makes for a lot of interesting explanations.
Did you guys have like any weird, I don't know, like I said, I thought like this is some weird name that Anthony is hiding behind. I don't know, maybe there was some crime involved. You never know. Like this is the internet, that can happen, right? Has anybody ever said anything weird to you guys about your Penpal name?
I think
there was that one time, Anthony, wasn't there, when what was it? It was after the 75% of podcast book, because it was directed at you, wasn't it? I can't remember exactly what happened.
So we launched the book.
Just got really funny. Yeah, you go on.
Yeah. So we launched the book a couple of months, like maybe 3 to 4 months ago. And the book was essentially a collective of a community project where we had podcasters give their advice on what they was doing before they started. We launched this book. It did great. It was a great community project that we worked together with the community on a collective project like this. And we had a guy who just promoted it and said, hey, this is an amazing book. Put it in the podcast movement community, the group. And which was amazing for us, having that feedback. And we didn't ask for it. It just sort of happened organically. And then within the comments, someone said something like, oh, why are you using the pen name, or who is this guy? I need the transparency. I feel like you're claiming this. It could be fraudulent. And we went back and forth, with this guy, and he had a lot of skepticism, which I do really get, because, in the podcasting space, there's a lot of people there trying to take people's money and aren't legitimate. They're not really building anything. They're just sort of like there to take advantage of people. So I got his stance on it, and I clarified the reason, like I have done to you, and he got that. And then he was like, you claim this and claim that. And I think if he said that at the start of our journey, it might have hurt me or hurt our feelings, but because I have so much integrity and conviction with what we're doing, and we've seen the results of the people we've helped, it didn't mean much. This guy calling that, it doesn't matter. Like, if you read the comments, Joy, you've been part of our ecosystem, our community. You're not gonna think anything worse of me because you know me. You know how much work we've been putting in over the last 2 years. So that, I think that it does happen, but because we've been doing it for so long time now, it doesn't really, it's like, oh, cool. It is what it is.
Fun and fascinating. So you guys are very young. I feel like I'm quite old. I'm almost double your age, which is like, oof, I'm not going to get any younger. But anyway, so you guys, like, you're the typical millennials that just go out and start businesses. And I see this so much. And I have to ask this question, I guess, and this is coming from a parent point of view. Do you guys learn these things these days in school to start businesses, or is it just how your mindset grows? Because in my time, and I'm sounding very old now, but in my time when I grew up, it wasn't a thing to just go out and start businesses. But these days, I know more millennials starting businesses than what are we, the Gen X or something? I don't even know what we are. You guys are Gen X. So how do you guys do this? Do you just get together in college and say, you know what, this is what you do? Or
yeah, well, I mean, to answer the first thing you said, it's definitely not something that's like more encouraged in school or anything like that. If anything, the opposite. I mean, we have friends that study business and stuff like that, and like like, without any disrespect to them, like, we know a lot more about business than them now. None of them have actually started businesses. It's definitely not encouraged. I think for us to, I mean, I think what is different is, like, obviously social media makes a huge thing.
That is true.
So now we see the information is a lot more accessible, and of course there's so many ads, especially that hammer, especially from like scammers. Like forex trading is a good example of, like, I feel like it was a very young demographic that was getting hammered by ads to get into that because they're very impressionable. So yeah, I mean, I think people our age are probably targeted to get into making money online stuff. Not necessarily like a proper business. I think a lot of it's just get rich quick. But for me and Anthony, to be honest, it started with we both got massively into like law of attraction stuff when we were about 18, and then because of course, and this was when we had just moved out of our small town to a city, to do uni together. So it was we lived with, it was us two and 6 girls. We were friendly with them and stuff, but obviously there was a lot of time when it was just us two. And we'd just be basically just reinforcing each other's beliefs, just basically indoctrinating each other because we just had no one else for the first little while. And then, I don't know, I think we just both, you can chime in here, Anthony, but I think we both raised our standards a lot then of what we could achieve. Started thinking big time, and just started saying stuff like, by the end of uni, which was 3 years long, we'll have a successful business, and at the time it was stuff like we'll be making X amount of money and just stuff like that. We basically started dreaming really big, and then of course, as I'm sure you know, when you do that, you start to, I guess, like, opportunity starts to fall in your path, and you start seeing more of it in real life. And then it was a massive process of trial and error. I mean, we nearly got into a pyramid scheme selling these Japanese water machines.
Go back. What did you almost sell? Japanese
Japanese water. It was called a Kangen water machine.
Oh yes, I actually sold those. They're not terrible.
What? A Kangen water? Seriously? That actual mad? Really? And what was that like?
It's fine. It's not like the pyramid scheme. Yes, you do get them. Trust me, I've been in those too. But this is more like an affiliate thing. Very popular here and in Australia.
Okay. Interesting. Well, maybe we should have done it after all. But I mean, my dad definitely thought it was a pyramid scheme. So to us, it was a pyramid scheme. And he didn't even, the crazy thing was, he didn't even say like, no, you're not doing that as a pyramid scheme, because we didn't have, basically they sold us the dream, and then at the end they said, oh, but of course you have to buy one first. So we were like, oh, well, we don't have $5,000. So then I rang up my dad, and actually, was it $5,000? I think you could do installments of like $1,500 at a time.
Yeah, but it was like $5,000. Yeah, it's a lot,
and I remember it is a lot, and I called my dad and spoke to him about it, and the thing is, he actually said, if you really want to do it, I will help you two with the money to get started. But he didn't just say no, but he just talked us out of it. That was a big learning experience. And then,
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
I've talked for a while here, so you can take over, Anthony. But in short, I think that was the start of it. And then we just from being around each other so much and both wanting the same thing, we just fell into plenty of different opportunities. And then when lockdown hit, that was like a complete blessing for us, because it gave us, you know, the dedicated time to just really focus on one thing, which was when we started our current business.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
I love that you started. My first business was the Kangen machines. No jokes. I also started exactly with that as the first thing. It is legit. Like if you don't sell the lifestyle, you just sell the machine. It is perfectly fine. I know a lot of friends is making a lot of money with it, and they're just doing it right. So if you do it wrong, like if you sell the dream and the lifestyle, that's nonsense.
I think it was a thing about that we had to then it wasn't we were selling it to people, it was actually we were selling other people into selling it, kind of thing.
Exactly. So, that's wrong. That's wrong.
It was a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
That's mad. That's so funny that you did the exact water machine you sold.
I still have my machine. I love the water. Like I am such a water. I don't do bottled waters. I am like a water snob. I go on holiday, I will fill my bottles this much and I will take them with on holiday. It's terrible. It's really bad for me. Okay, so at the moment, you guys are obviously, you've got your 2 books, right? And this is your front end product. What do you guys sell behind these books? Like, what is your offer that you offer people?
So currently at the moment, our main focus is helping podcasters growing. So I work with podcasts one-on-one doing coaching, and offers pretty simple, you know, get helping podcasts become unstuck if they've plateaued. So I'm not working with beginners, people who've podcasted before, and helping them grow their podcasts using reliable like frameworks. So these are proven frameworks that we've used for other clients we know works really, really well. And the goal essentially is to provide all podcasters the tools to help them grow their podcast, or have the tools to at least increase the chance of them successfully growing. You know, there's a lot of factors that goes into it. If you've got a bad podcast and I give you these tools, it's still not going to work for you. So they have to have a good podcast to begin with, and obviously we go through that process of like, you know, doing a discovery call, making sure we're a right fit. So that's that in the back end. But we're now currently actually working on something that's a lot more, let's say, what I'm currently doing, but on steroids. And that has been our last, basically this year for us so far, has been working on that. And yeah, that's it. In the last, I want to say 14 days of work, we've had like over 50 interviews with podcasters, which has been crazy.
Much
and we've got another 50.
Pushing 80 now.
Yeah, and we've got another 50. No, like another like.
We have
like over
100. Like, so including everything that's been booked that we've done, including no shows, and currently booked, I think there's about 120 or something. Obviously, between the two of us, about 60 each. So yeah, we're knee deep in that at the moment. But yeah, like Anthony said, that's obviously not what we're working on in terms of the offer. We've been really revamping all videos. When I say revamping, I mean just giving these old videos that we made like a year ago like a total facelift, and just we're just adding in stuff that's actually going to work. And yeah, we're really currently in the process of compiling the offer, to be honest, the big one, as Anthony said.
It's quite impressive how you guys have built this out